Beautiful morning. Whew. That beautiful sunshine, vitamin D, soaking it up. Had a short, intense workout. Connecting with Yahuwah Yahusha on what he talks about in respect to being a leader in regards to being out front with the people as it pertains to many who are first shall be last, many who are last shall be first, and this misunderstanding of what a leader is. Because John and James had said to him, "Teacher, we would like for you to do whatever we ask." And Yahusha says to them, "What is it that you ask of me?" And they say, "We would like to sit at your right and your left. We would like to be seated amongst the power to your right and your left, so that when he sits on the throne in the kingdom of heaven, that James and John are seated to his right and his left." And he's like, "Are you able to drink from the cup that I drink from? Are you willing to be immersed in the way that I've been immersed?" And they're emphatic. They're like, "Yes, absolutely. We can drink from the cup you drink from, and we are willing to be immersed in the way you're immersed." And he says, "Surely you will be drinking from the cup that I drink of, and being immersed the way I am immersed. But to give you the seat to my left and to my right, that is not mine to give. That is for those who it has been prepared for by Yahuwah." But he says to them, he says, those that lead the nations, those that rule the world, they exercise authority and lord over the peoples, but not so amongst us. For whoever wishes to be great amongst us shall serve all. For even the son of Adam, the son of man, comes as a servant to all. Comes to lay his life down as a ransom for all. I had a great conversation with a beautiful guy, a great guy, a wonderful, wonderful man. Former Navy SEAL, elite SEAL sniper by the name of Mark Green. He's written a phenomenal book, a book that's filled with humbleness and humility, and the truth just resonates off of it. You could tell he's just speaking from his heart in this book, and there's a whole bunch of vignettes about his life story and about how hard it was for him, ultimately how hard it becomes for him to transition out of 20 years in the Navy SEALs at the elite level, having made it through BUDS, the training that it takes to get into the SEALs, having made it through Hell Week, that last week where you're absolutely brutalized and tormented and put through all manner of suffering, and those who finally make it through. I mean, sometimes you get these classes that are about 170, 180 people, and only 10 or 12 or 20 make it through. And then he makes it through that, eventually gets selected as a SEAL sniper to go through SEAL sniper training. He passes that. They see how good he is. They even make him a SEAL instructor. A SEAL sniper instructor, so he can teach others how to take a shot from a mile off. And to get through that training, that's a whole nother level. To become an elite sniper at the Navy SEAL level, at the Delta Force level, at the Marine Scout sniper level. You might have to be out there in the environment for days before you take that shot. And all the while, you can't just be falling asleep. You're paying attention to the wind, to the humidity, to the temperature, as Mark talks about it, you have to notice everything about your environment, because you're not just looking for your target to take a shot at the target. You're ensuring that because if you're out there hunting, someone's hunting you. And if there's just a glint that's coming off of you, another sniper will see that, take you out. So to be in that environment for sometimes 3 days, the intensity with which you have to concentrate and be aware is at another level. It's at a certain vibration and frequency that we can't even imagine, such that if he sees a straight line, he knows there are no straight lines in nature, which means that something is afoot, something man-made. He goes on to become an officer, leads SEAL teams, officer in charge over at SEAL Team 8, Special Boat Team 20, gets an MBA, gets another graduate degree after that. Very accomplished man, and with no ego. No ego. Just such a humble, wonderful guy. You can have a wonderful conversation with, and you read his book, and it is just pure honesty and integrity. So I'm having this great conversation with him, and he talks about this in his book, and he talks about it in this conversation I'm having. By the way, I recorded this conversation. It was an interview that I did with him, a couple of hours long. I'm going to put it up on YouTube, on my podcast, the Alpha Human Podcast, so you get to hear the whole thing there. And if you're looking for an action story, listen, read the book. There's a lot of action in it, but it's not about the action, really. My conversation with him wasn't about action and combat. It was more about the human condition and about what it takes to do what he did and what he's gone through. Just a conversation with another man who's done some incredible things. And so one of the things he talks about, which, I got to tell you, the signs are everywhere. The signs are everywhere if you're in tune with it. If you're living in Yahuwah, Yahusha, you know the real. You know the signs. For all those who are not living in Yahuwah, Yahusha, and are saying, well, I'll only believe when he shows himself to me. Give me a sign in your arrogance, in your hubris, in your conceit, such that you should have Yahuwah show himself to you, such that, only then you'll believe. Can you imagine the hubris of that thought, of that ideal, that everything must be proved to you? At the level of the creator of all things should prove himself to you before you'll give him the courtesy of belief. Can you imagine such a thing? No, you can't, because you're living in the flesh. You're living in this world. And the most interesting thing of it all is that the minute you accept Yahuwah, Yahusha as your deliverer, as your savior, as your creator, then you get all the proof you need. Then you get all the signs you could ever imagine, the signs constantly showing themselves to you. This happens to me all the time. So I'm nourishing my soul every day with the good news, with the words, the phrases, the parables, the teachings of Yahuwah, Yahusha, of the disciples. And I'm at this part that I'm talking to you about now with respect to what Yahuwah, Yahusha says about being a leader, being great amongst the people, and how that's really just being a servant. And of course, as I'm reading that, as I'm just about to come to that verse, which was yesterday, I was reading the verses before it, and I knew what was coming next because I moved ahead, but there was something I wanted to talk about in the book of Mark. yesterday that I spoke about, and now I knew today I wanted to read some more of that and absorb it and contemplate, ruminate on it, talk about it with you. And as I know that I'm going to be reading this and talking about it, yesterday I'm having this conversation with Mark, and he echoes the same verses I just gave you, but in a different way. So he starts talking about how he talks about this in a book, but something he reveals on the podcast, on the interview yesterday. He says to me, you learn a lot of things as a sniper about your environment, about nature, about connecting, and because we're talking about what does it take. But one of the things he says that he came to understand, one of these things, these nuances he noticed as a sniper, is that they're tasked with at times to take out the leaders. And how do you know who the leaders are on the battlefield? Assuming they're not wearing any special type of uniform. And he says what they noticed was that the leaders on the battlefield were the ones who were pointing, right? Because they're telling their soldiers, their troops, where to go. And that's how they knew who the leaders were, and that's who they set their sights on taking out. And he goes on to talk about, and this is the part he does talk about in the book, he talks about how in becoming a leader, one of the things he learned was that you're doing a good job as a leader, although he thought he was doing a horrible job when he was in OCI, Officer Candidate School, Officer Candidate School. He thought he was doing a terrible job because his class, he had become a mentor in his class, and that all the students in his class were constantly coming up to him with their problems, such that he was never able to get anything done. He wasn't doing well on his exams. He wasn't able to focus and concentrate on completing all of his tasks because he was being overrun by all the help he was giving to all the other students. And one of the senior leaders at OCS said to him, "You're doing a phenomenal job." And he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm doing a horrible job. I'm not doing well on my exams. I don't have enough time to get all these other things, these tasks that I need, these goals, these targets that I need to complete here in OCS done, because I'm so busy with the other students." And he's like, and I'm paraphrasing it, but essentially he says, that's what being a leader is. That's how you know you're doing a good job. And he's like, that's how he learned what true leadership was. It's when people come to you with their problems, when people are coming to you for advice, you're their leader. When they stop coming to you with their problems, when they stop coming to you for advice, they no longer regard you as their leader. And just thinking about that, sometimes leaders aren't, you think you might choose to be a leader, and you're going to go out there and you're going to be the boss, and you're going to be the head of the team. You're going to be the tip of the spear. You're going to be the one that's out there guiding and directing all the action. And then you're going to hold authority over men. People think that's what a leader is, that you rule over other men, that you hold dominion over your people. That's not what a leader is. A leader serves his people. A leader is someone who is there for his people as a platform for them to stand on, as the broad shoulders that they can lean on, as the person who's going to lift them up and lift them higher. That's what a leader is. It's not someone who controls you or puppeteers you or manipulates you or is the one who's lording over you. That's not the leader. Make no mistake about it, if that's who you are, but there's someone else that everyone's going to with their problems and everyone else is going to for advice, that's the leader. And that's how you know you're a leader, whether you choose to be or not. Whether you choose, that sometimes you're born to be a leader. Sometimes that the circumstances demand you be a leader. Sometimes it just happens through your experience, through your wisdom, through your discernment, through your stature, through your humble nature, your humility, people gravitate towards you. If they're coming to you for help, for hope, for guidance, for direction, for advice, to help them with their problems, then you are the leader. And as long as they keep coming to you, you have that responsibility. Now, you might not want it, but that's who the people see you as. That's what a real leader is. Not the person who stands up above all and does all the pointing. As Yahusha said, those who are first shall be last, and those who are last shall be first. And those amongst you who wish to be great will be servants to all. Heavy words, true words, words that resonate. Do you want that responsibility? Do you want to be that person? I led sales teams for over 20 years. And I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't do that anymore. Because I don't want that responsibility anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean if someone comes to me and needs their advice, because people still do today. Professionals that I work with still come to me today and ask for advice. And I am more than willing to give that advice. I don't want to be the person that points the fingers. I don't want to be the person that comes up with the plans. I don't want to be the person out front at the tip of the spear guiding people. I don't want to be in that position. And the way that I value leadership now is in that advisory role, in that mentorship role, in that role of guidance. Such that if someone has a problem and they want to seek me out, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here to share my experience, my insights over my time and over all the things, the trials and tribulations and the experiences and the background, the accomplishment that I've had. I'm here to share it with you. But therein lies the irony of it all, because that's what leadership is. So even though I don't want leadership, by its true definition, I'm here for you. Lean on me. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, brothers and sisters. I'm here for you. I'm here to champion you. I'm here to lift you higher. I'm here to put you on my shoulders. I'm here to elevate you. I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to motivate you. I'm here to inspire you. Let us walk the only way, the only truth, the only possibility for true meaning and purpose in life, where we can be true and strong and be redeemed and have all the things we seek: healing, love, joy, peace, and life. True life, real life. Not living in the ways of the flesh, in this illusion, in this mirage, in this hallucination, for the sake of this mirage, hallucination, and this false reality. Not for the accoutrements of comfort, not for the ways of the flesh, not for decadence and depravity and revelry and celebration, not for drugs and alcohol and pornography, not for cheap thrills, cheap highs and cheap titillation, not for the esteem and glory and honor of man. No, to live as an example for our people by living to serve Yahusha, and by being flooded with the breath of his salvation, the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit that animates us and motivates us such that we can motivate others to find their way to Yahusha, so they can be filled with the Spirit, so they can be filled with the Ruach, so they can be filled with the breath and be guided as we're guided on this narrow path that leads to the narrow gate, to the kingdom to come, where there is no more evil or sin, where there's no more sadness or hatred, where there's no more war or misery, no more decadence, depravity, defilement, debasement. There's no more of the haters and detractors, psychic vampires, negative influencers, no more corrupters or evildoers, misleaders or deceivers. There's no more demons, no more Hashatan, no more Satan or Lucifer. There's no more murder or death, no more illness or disease, no more pain or suffering. There is only Yahusha in the kingdom to come, where he lives amongst us once again, and there is only everlasting peace, everlasting love, everlasting healing, everlasting joy, and everlasting life. And all of that sorrow and despair of this hallucination and all the evil that permeates it is all washed away. All the evil once crushed beneath his feet. And where he shines his beautiful light down on us, and it fills us as it does now with the Ruach, the breath of Yahuwah, he who creates all. And that breath fills us with that light that we will experience ad infinitum in the kingdom to come, where we're filled with that love and that beauty and that glory. And we can love him, honor him, glorify him, worship him, and praise him in a manner that pleases him most, because we are perfect once again, like the angels, as we were when we were originally created, when we were in paradise, in Eden, before we were corrupted and misled and deceived by the serpent, by the dragon, as we are out here in this reality, in this false reality, not knowing the zeros and the ones behind it all, until you accept Yahusha as your Redeemer. And then you see this all for what it is. A test, a challenge. Something that matters only in that we please Yahusha as we are here. Only in receiving his salvation, which is as simple as asking for it. And then you're flooded with redemption. You're flooded with all you've ever sought. You receive more than you could ever imagine, such that your cup runneth over, such that you're out here on a beautiful sunny day, shouting to the skies, to the world, the glory and the greatness of Yahusha, because you have so much of it, you have to give this away. You have to pay it forward. And all the answers you've ever sought, all is revealed. All the questions you've ever had, answered. All the proof you ever needed, given to you. All the signs you ever looked for, here they are. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it. Nothing can compare to this. I can't even describe it. The peace, the solace, the joy, the strength, the courage, the boldness with we walk, with which we march, the steadfastness of it all. Because we know, we see it, the path, the narrow path emblazoned, and we're on it, and we walk it, true and mighty, wearing his armor, which is faith in Yahuwah. That is the armor we wear, such that the spears and daggers and slings and arrows of all of the evil ones of this world can no longer come near us. They cannot penetrate. We're impenetrable, we're impregnable, we're unstoppable as we wear the armor, as we wear the helmet of salvation, and as we wield that breath of Yahuwah, the Ruach that is within us, and that light that bursts forth from us. It's like a force field. It dissolves all the darkness in our path now. Before we stumbled constantly. Now everything is bright and beautiful. We see it all, including this narrow path. And those demons and psychic vampires and negative influences and those haters and detractors that try to chip away at you, they can't get near you any longer. You move with such speed and power and grace in the name of Yahusha, such that you can live as an example for your people, such that they can see how encouraged and inspired and motivated you are, and that they know that you were once like they are now, hopeless, in despair and depression, anxious, frustrated, longing, thirsting, not knowing how to break free of this prison, this man-made prison that we keep ourselves in. this endless hamster wheel of striving, the endless treadmill we can never get off, where we're always clawing and scratching. We're always cannibalizing each other. We're always seeking dominion and power and to manipulate people, manipulate circumstances, manipulate environments, manipulate variables, manipulate results such that we can get just a little tiny breadcrumb, a little tiny piece of the pie. And then even when we get that piece of the pie, we get to the top of one mountain, we find we're just at the bottom of another. It never ends, like Sisyphus rolling that boulder up the hill and having it only come back down on us, forever rolling it back up and having it, because every time you get to the top of one mountain, you're at the bottom of another. And even if you never get to the top of any mountains, you're still just as frustrated because you can't get where you think you want to get, where you think the answers are, where they're not. And so you're just as sad and frustrated and anxious and striving and hungering and thirsting as the people who have got there, who found there are no answers there. And those who are lost, as we once were, see us now full of the encouragement, full of the inspiration, full of the healing energy of Yahuwah, Yahusha. And by simply living the true life with the living law, the written word that never ends, emblazoned now on our hearts and our souls, such that we follow his commandments lovingly, not begrudgingly like the old law. The law that perishes on stone, that only reveals sin and punishment, that never reveals salvation, and that is only meant for the unbelievers and the unfaithful. Now, having come to Yahuwah, Yahusha, of our own free will, seeking his redemption, seeking his salvation, he gives us the gift. He writes the living law in our heart, and we know the word, the way, the truth, and the life, and the only commandment that matters, from which all good things spring, which is and which will always be, love Yahuwah with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our fellow man as we love ourselves. And from that commandment, all the good things spring, all the wholesome things blossom. All true, real prosperity is born. And so we live for our people because they know, although they are lost, that if we can be saved and if we can be full of this kind of robustness and dynamism and encouragement and inspiration and motivation and healing and joy and peace and solace and everlasting life, then they know they can too. And that's how we move, that's how we groove, that's how we march as an example for our people on this narrow path to the narrow gates that lead to the kingdom to come, ceaseless and relentless. We march steadfast, unstoppable, unconquerable, unrelenting, uncompromising, unassailable, undefeatable to kingdom come.